Yeah. Happy New Year, y'all. Nerdy Girl is back with another review for Soul, Pixar Soul on Disney Plus. And we are celebrating a new year in good spirits. So let's get into this review. Nerdy Girl Reviews. Stay tuned. How's everybody feeling? I made myself a little hot chocolate with my nice little red truck, which I think is ideal, honestly. If you're watching this film, this is a very family-friendly film, and it's perfect to gather around with some hot cocoa, hot chocolate, some tea, if that's what you prefer. But let me get into this before we start. Yes. All right, so this film came out, I believe, on Christmas Day, so I'm a little late. But still, nonetheless, it's still streaming. It's a beautiful film. From this point on, again, if you don't want to hear spoilers, you know, click off if you want. But again, I will be talking about the film and certain references and not spoil it entirely. So we have in the film Soul, you know, our character Joe, played by Jamie Foxx, you know, a strong musician who's been plugging at it for years. You kind of feel for Joe. I mean, he's in his 30s. You know, technically he is living an adult life, but because he doesn't have like this passion to now necessarily be enthused working a 9 to 5. You know, he has a teaching job, which does pay the bills, but his desire is to be a full-time musician. He's a pianist, and there's that one gig that, you know, that gig that's gonna make or break your career, and he's been trying at it, you know, unfortunately to his mom's disappointment, who's played by Felicia Rashad. Oh my God, you can't believe how many memories of her voice. Her voice is very distinctive, and all I can think about is The Cosby Show, and so many great memories with her as an actress. But yeah, she plays a seamstress, and she has this, you know, shop that she hems and stitches, and, you know, she's a tailor. So, but that's what's paid the bills. Her husband, essentially Joe's father, was the musician, and she saw how hard a struggle that her husband had. So, you know, but not thinking that now that Joe, her son, would catch the bug for being a musician, and he plugs at it, and though technically he gets, I believe, something like tenure when he's working at this public school for teaching children, you know, just the composition of music. He's offered a full-time job with benefits, and his mom is like, take it. But there's still that bit of hesitation, because it's like, in taking this, would I be giving up on my dreams? So, believe it or not, you know, he's such a great teacher. He inspires his students. One of his former students is a part of this big band, jazz band, that is known in this little teeny club, but still they're known worldwide. And he thinks of him like they were down one musician. They were like, well, my former teacher would be perfect for this. So he calls him. He finally gets the call that he's been waiting for. And he gets into an accident and is like in that blurry line between life and death. So I gotta say, so moving forward in this film, although it is a children's film, it really goes deep in this film. Like, I want to say the last couple of films when it comes to Pixar, like Coco and Inside Out, I think they've delved more into like how people's personalities and psyche develop, perhaps teaching children, you know, at a young age, what is existentialism, and questions that technically you wouldn't ask of yourself until like you're maybe in your 30s. So I mean, they're great life lessons, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't a holiday movie. but it does like play into the theme of family and inner inspection, you know. So unfortunately, Joe does transcend, and he doesn't want to be there. He has to get back. He's like, I need to get back, and he's met up with Tina Fey's character of 22, and 22 is part of this other orb where it's like there are these young souls that haven't fully developed, and then they only are sent to Earth if they find a spark, a purpose as to why they want to exist on the globe, on Earth. And she's had millions of mentors. I mean, she's even lost count. She has this little like sliver, this little cave that cocoon that she has carved out for herself, and she just goes to these meetings, doesn't really necessarily care, has no enthusiasm to. And here's Joe with all the care in the world, like, I gotta get back. I've finally found my purpose. I'm gonna be the success that I've always wanted. And she just doesn't go for it. So she tries her best to kind of get him back into his body. And they go through all these rituals and whatnot, and all these eccentric characters play into this portion of the film, and they are able to kind of actually transcend back to Earth. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out great for Joe. Joe ends up in the cat. Like there was that just happens to be Joe is in a hospital, and Joe in a hospital bed, and there is like a cat. I guess they use for therapy to kind of pull people out of comas. Therapeutic cat, and then it's because the cat is on his lap. Joe falls into the cat, and 22 ends up in his body. So they go through all these pitfalls and twists and turns, peaks and valleys in the film, trying to desperately switch, or just like 22 go on and do her thing, and Joe back in his body. And they go through numerous trials and tribulations. Here's Joe and the cat trying to navigate, through mentoring 22 to like, please just don't humiliate me, and at the same time let's just get this going so we can switch. And in doing that, she ends up finding a spark in the smallest of things. So that's where this film takes us. Like it makes you realize that although yes, we have passions for things, passions don't necessarily always equate to a level of success or a purpose to a level of success. She found spark and beauty in the smallest of things. And this is where I said that it's a love letter to, if I haven't mentioned it yet, it felt very much like a love letter to New York City. Since we've been so badly hurt because of COVID and everything, that we forget those small nuances that make us New Yorkers and make us long for our city. So the moment that 22 just is able, because remember, when they're in that other realm, they're not able to feel or touch or smell anything, that because she's essentially, they're not attached to a human body that can do that. So when she tastes a pepperoni pizza for the first time, it's like, oh my god, what have I been missing my entire existence? So there's that. Or just feeling wind and brush up against a person's face, conversations. A small leaf falls into the palm of his hand while she's in Joe's body, and she finds the spark. Like, wow, like in those little small triumphs, you see. Like that's where this movie really goes deep, because it's not just like the hokey, da 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 da, I found spark and whatever. It makes you question like your purpose, but in a different sense. It doesn't necessarily equate it to monetary success. And Joe's still very much attached to the idea, like success, money, fame, that's the purpose to life. That's why you're here. And then when he starts to see life through 22's lens, he starts realizing like, oh my god, all these small things that I took for granted, even down to teaching his students like he always was grateful for it, but I think he was able to see it through another lens because of 22. And he sees like, you know, because then he is able miraculously to switch and get into his own body. He gets his body back and he's able to perform. He makes the gig and he gets all the accolades that he's been waiting for an entire life. And then he's like, well, why am I not happy? I'm still not happy. Like, I did all this stuff and I'm still not happy. Was that the purpose? So it just makes you kind of like question things in life, you know? And then so he goes so far as to go back and try to save 22, because in 22 going back and found the spark, but now Ken is deprived of going back to Earth because Joe so desperately wanted to be back in his body that she becomes a lost soul, and he knew that didn't sit well with him. So he does everything he can to actually give 22 an opportunity to live and have essentially a life on Earth. And somehow it works out where Joe also gets a second chance at life. And what I liked about the film is that it also kind of leaves you, which I've never seen of a Pixar film. So this is extraordinary in the sense that it doesn't finish it for you. I've seen so many independent films that do that, but not necessarily a Disney film. It just leaves it up to the viewer of how Joe's life was going to move forward. Now, saying all that, I also want to make mention that this was extraordinary. I think Disney is evolving in the sense of representation. After seeing so many years of, the Disney princesses, we're finally seeing characters that represent us. And Joe and every character that is emphasized in this film is African American, and it was just so grandiose to see that. Like, even there's a scene where Joe needs to get a haircut and he goes to a local barbershop, and those are the faces that you would see in your community. Like the barbers, the kind of talk that they will have in a barbershop, the tattoos, certain tones, the shading. I mean, just even down to like the hair follicle. It was beautiful. It honestly was a clear representation of what city life and urban life and people of color on screen. That was groundbreaking, honestly. And that there were elements of other shops too. Like there was also the salon that said Salon Dominicano, which I thought that was dope too. I was like, finally, like Pixar really invested in going into our communities and giving us a fair representation. That is the subway. That's what it feels like. That's what it smells like. Those are the sounds that you see. Those are the faces that you see. And I honestly, that exploration of it was beautiful. So again, I do recommend it. It is a great family film. You can watch it during the Christmas holidays or anytime really that you just want to be at home and in comfort. And it's a film you can equally share with your children. You yourself can digest it as an adult, but also children, also get to be exposed to that, to deeper thinking. Critical thinking is the word I'm looking for. And it was just great. It was great. I really enjoyed this film. So stream it today if you haven't already. And until my next review, I think I'll be back soon with a few new premieres that came out this weekend on Netflix. I think Cobra Kai might be my next review, so stay tuned for that. And again, Happy New Year, and let's bring in this new year with positivity and optimism. Until next time, y'all. XOXO, Nerdy Girl. Stream it today on Disney Plus. XOXO, Nerdy Girl Reviews.